Warning, the content you're about to see may be disturbing, but it could save your pigeon's life. Hello and welcome back to our Pigeon Health Emergency Series. I'm your host, and today we're exposing the hidden invaders that are living inside your pigeons right now. Parasites that 90% of pigeon owners have no idea exist until it's too late. If you're squeamish about seeing parasites in microscopic footage, you might want to look away during certain parts of this video. But please keep listening because this information could literally save your pigeons from a slow, painful death. And if you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because we share life-saving information that other pigeon channels won't show you. Before we dive into the shocking reality of what's living inside your birds, let me tell you what we're going to uncover in the next 30 minutes. First, I'll show you the most common parasites that are probably in your pigeons right now, including microscopic footage that will shock you. Then we'll examine the hidden signs these parasites cause that most owners completely miss until their birds are dying. After that, I'll reveal the natural detection methods that work better than expensive vet tests. Then comes the comprehensive elimination protocol using natural compounds that actually work. Finally, we'll cover the prevention strategies that will keep these disgusting invaders out of your birds permanently. Let's start with the disturbing truth that the pigeon industry doesn't want you to know. Recent veterinary studies show that over 90% of pigeons harbor at least one type of internal parasite, and most birds have multiple parasite species living inside them simultaneously. These aren't just harmless hitchhikers. These parasites are actively damaging your pigeons' health, stealing their nutrition, destroying their organs, and shortening their lives. The most shocking part, most pigeon owners have no idea their birds are unfit, because these parasites are masters of staying hidden until they've done serious internal damage. By the time you see obvious symptoms, the parasites have usually been feeding on your pigeon for months or even years. Let's examine the 5 most common and destructive parasites that are probably living inside your pigeons right now. Starting with the most disgusting and dangerous. Parasite number 1 is Trichomonas gallinae, commonly called canker, and it's one of the most revolting parasites you can imagine. This single-celled organism literally eats your pigeon's throat and crop tissue, creating cheese-like masses that can completely block the bird's ability to eat or breathe. Under the microscope, Trichomonas looks like tiny alien creatures with whip-like tails, constantly moving and multiplying inside your bird's body. What makes Trichomonas particularly disgusting is how it spreads. These parasites are transmitted through contaminated water, food, and direct contact between birds. When infected birds drink water, millions of these microscopic monsters are released into the water source, where they can survive for days waiting to infect the next bird that drinks. The hidden signs of Trichomonas infection that most owners miss include very subtle changes in drinking behavior. Infected birds often drink more frequently, but in smaller amounts because swallowing becomes uncomfortable. You might notice slight changes in the bird's voice or soft vocalizations, almost like a gentle throat clearing. Some birds show increased interest in soft foods while avoiding harder seeds, and there might be very mild head shaking or neck stretching after eating or drinking. The shocking reality is that Trichomonas can live in your pigeon's system for months without causing obvious symptoms, slowly growing and multiplying until it creates visible lesions. By that time, the infection is advanced and much harder to treat. This parasite is responsible for more sudden pigeon deaths than most owners realize, because when the lesions finally become large enough to block the throat or crop, the bird can die within 24 to 48 hours. Parasite number 2 is even more disgusting. Intestinal worms that can grow to shocking lengths inside your pigeon's digestive system. The most common species include roundworms that can reach 2 to 3 inches in length, hairworms so thin they look like moving threads, and tapeworms that can grow to over 6 inches long inside a pigeon's intestines. Under microscopic examination, these worms are truly horrifying. Roundworm eggs look like tiny footballs with thick shells designed to survive in harsh conditions for months or even years. Hairworm eggs are barely visible but present in massive numbers. A single infected bird can pass millions of eggs daily. Tapeworm segments look like moving rice grains and are packed with thousands of eggs ready to infect new hosts. The hidden signs of intestinal worm infection are incredibly subtle and easy to miss. The earliest indication is often a very slight change in dropping consistency. Not obvious diarrhea, but droppings that are slightly softer or more variable in consistency than normal. You might notice that your pigeon's appetite increases slightly because the worms are stealing nutrition, forcing the bird to eat more to maintain body condition. Weight loss from intestinal worms happens so gradually that most owners never notice until it's severe. The bird might lose 10–15% of its body weight over several months while still appearing relatively normal. Some birds show very subtle changes in feather quality. The feathers might lose their glossy appearance, or become slightly more brittle, but these changes are so gradual, they're easily attributed to molting or seasonal factors. What's truly disgusting about intestinal worms is their reproductive capacity. A single female roundworm can produce over 200,000 eggs per day. These eggs are designed to survive in soil, water, and on surfaces for months or years, waiting for the opportunity to infect new birds. When you realize that every dropping from an infected bird contains thousands or millions of parasite eggs, the scope of contamination becomes overwhelming. Parasite number 3 is microscopic, but causes some of the most devastating effects. Coccidia. These single-celled parasites invade the lining of your pigeon's intestines, literally destroying the tissue from the inside out. Under high magnification, coccidia look like tiny bubbles, but don't let their simple appearance fool you. These parasites are incredibly destructive. Coccidia have a complex life cycle that makes them particularly dangerous. They reproduce both sexually and asexually inside your pigeon's intestines, creating multiple generations of parasites within a single infection cycle. The reproductive stages literally burst through intestinal cells, destroying the tissue and releasing millions of new parasites into the digestive tract. The hidden signs of coccidia infection are particularly insidious because they mimic normal variations in bird health. Early coccidia infection often causes very subtle changes in energy levels. Birds might be slightly less active or show reduced interest in flying, but these changes are so minor they're easily overlooked. Some birds show increased thirst as the damaged intestinal lining affects fluid absorption, but the increase is often so slight that owners don't notice. Dropping changes from coccidia can be incredibly subtle in early stages. Instead of obvious blood or mucus, you might notice droppings that are slightly more watery or have a different odor. The color might shift very slightly toward brown or contain tiny flecks that could be mistaken for undigested food particles. What makes coccidia particularly disgusting is how it spreads through the environment. Infected birds shed millions of coccidia in their droppings, and these egg-like structures are incredibly resistant to environmental conditions. They can survive freezing temperatures, drought, and even many disinfectants. A single contaminated area can remain infectious for months or years. Parasite number 4 is absolutely revolting. External parasites that literally feed on your pigeon's blood and tissue. The most common include feather mites so small they're barely visible, red mites that emerge at night to feed like tiny vampires, and feather lice that spend their entire lives eating your bird's feathers and skin. Feather mites are particularly disgusting because they live their entire life cycle on your pigeon, feeding on skin cells, feather barbules, and blood. Under magnification, they look like tiny spiders with 8 legs and powerful claws designed to grip feathers. Female mites can lay hundreds of eggs directly on feather shafts, creating entire colonies of parasites on a single bird. Red mites are even more revolting because of their feeding behavior. During the day, they hide in cracks and crevices around your pigeon housing, but at night they emerge to feed on sleeping birds. They can detect carbon dioxide and body heat from several feet away, allowing them to locate sleeping pigeons in complete darkness. After feeding, they become engorged with blood and can survive for months without another meal. The hidden signs of external parasite infestation are often completely missed by pigeon owners. Early mite infestation causes very subtle increased preening behavior. Birds might spend slightly more time grooming certain areas, but the increase is so gradual it goes unnoticed. Some birds show minor changes in sleep patterns, moving or shifting position more frequently at night as mites feed on them. Feather quality changes from external parasites happen slowly over weeks or months. Feathers might develop tiny holes from mite feeding, lose their natural shine, or become more brittle. These changes are often attributed to molting, age, or nutrition rather than parasite damage. What's particularly disgusting about external parasites is their population growth potential. Under ideal conditions, mite populations can double every few days. A single mated female can establish a colony of thousands of mites within a few weeks. By the time you notice obvious signs of infestation, your birds might be hosting millions of parasites. Parasite number 5 is the most insidious because it attacks your pigeon's respiratory system from the inside, air sac mites. These microscopic parasites live inside the air sacs and respiratory passages, feeding on tissue and creating inflammation that slowly destroys your bird's ability to breathe efficiently. Air sac mites are particularly revolting because they spend their entire life cycle inside your pigeon's respiratory system. The females lay eggs directly in the air sacs, and the larvae develop by feeding on respiratory tissue. Adult mites can live for months inside the respiratory system, constantly reproducing and creating new generations of parasites. The hidden signs of air sac mite infestation are extremely subtle and easily confused with other respiratory issues. Early infection might cause very slight changes in breathing sounds, not obvious wheezing or clicking, but perhaps a barely detectable difference in the sound of normal breathing. Some birds show minor exercise intolerance, tiring slightly more quickly during flight or activity, but the difference is so subtle it's rarely noticed. Voice changes from air sac mites are incredibly gradual. A bird's normal vocalizations might become slightly hoarser or change pitch very gradually over weeks or months. These changes are so slow that most owners never notice them unless they have recordings of the bird's voice from before the infection. What makes air sac mites particularly dangerous is their location deep inside the respiratory system, where they're protected from many treatments and where they can cause serious damage before being detected. By the time obvious respiratory symptoms appear, the mites have usually been feeding and reproducing for months, causing significant damage to the delicate air sac tissues. Now that you're probably feeling sick thinking about all these disgusting parasites living inside your pigeons, let's discuss the natural detection methods that can reveal these hidden invaders before they cause serious damage. Natural detection begins with systematic observation techniques that are far more sensitive than waiting for obvious symptoms. The most effective method is what I call the daily health baseline system, where you learn to recognize your individual bird's normal patterns so thoroughly that you can detect the smallest changes that might indicate parasite problems. Baseline establishment requires observing each bird for the same 5-minute period every day, noting their activity level, feeding behavior, drinking patterns, social interactions, and physical appearance. After 2 weeks of consistent observation, you'll have established each bird's normal baseline, making it possible to detect subtle changes that indicate developing parasite problems. The most sensitive early detection method is monitoring water consumption patterns. Parasitic infections often cause very subtle changes in drinking behavior weeks or months before other symptoms appear. Install measuring devices on water containers and track daily consumption for each bird or group of birds. Increases as small as 10–15% can indicate developing parasite problems. Dropping analysis provides enormous amounts of information about internal parasite loads. When you know what to look for, collect fresh droppings from individual birds daily and examine them systematically for subtle changes in color, consistency, odor, and composition. Many parasite infections cause microscopic changes in droppings weeks before visible eggs or worms appear. The natural microscope technique allows you to detect many parasites using basic equipment available to any pigeon owner. Mix fresh droppings with a small amount of water on a slide and examine under even basic magnification. Many parasite eggs, coccidiocysts, and even adult parasites are visible under 100 to 400 bites magnification. Weight monitoring is one of the most sensitive indicators of parasite problems, but it must be done systematically to detect gradual changes. Weigh each bird weekly at the same time of day under consistent conditions. Weight losses as small as 2–3% can indicate developing parasite problems when tracked over several weeks. Feather quality assessment requires systematic examination of feather condition, looking for subtle changes that indicate parasite damage. Check for tiny holes in feathers, changes in feather texture or flexibility, alterations in natural shine or color, and areas where feathers seem more brittle or prone to breakage. Behavioral pattern monitoring focuses on detecting subtle changes in normal behavior that can indicate parasite effects on energy levels, comfort, or health. Track activity levels, social interactions, feeding enthusiasm, preening patterns, and sleep behavior for consistent changes that might indicate parasite problems. The natural elimination protocol I'm about to share uses powerful anti-parasitic plants that have been proven effective against all the major pigeon parasites we've discussed. This comprehensive approach attacks parasites through multiple mechanisms while supporting your pigeon's natural immune system. The foundation of natural parasite elimination is diatomaceous earth, but not just any diatomaceous earth. You must use food-grade diatomaceous earth that's specifically processed for internal use. This remarkable substance is made from fossilized algae with microscopic sharp edges that literally slice apart parasites while being completely safe for your pigeons. Diatomaceous earth works by mechanical action rather than chemical toxicity. The microscopic silica particles have razor-sharp edges that cut through parasite exoskeletons and damage internal parasites when they come into contact. At the same time, diatomaceous earth is completely safe for birds because the particles are too small to damage normal tissue but large enough to destroy parasites. The correct dosage for diatomaceous earth is crucial for effectiveness. Without causing digestive irritation, mix exactly 1% diatomaceous earth into your pigeon's daily grain ration. This means 1 gram of diatomaceous earth per 100 grams of grain, or approximately 1 teaspoon per 2 cups of grain mixture. This concentration is high enough to be effective against parasites, but low enough to avoid any digestive problems. The feeding schedule for diatomaceous earth requires cycling to prevent parasite resistance and maintain effectiveness. Feed the diatomaceous earth mixture for 14 consecutive days, then provide normal feed for 7 days, then repeat the 14-day treatment. This cycle disrupts parasite life cycles while preventing them from adapting to the treatment. The second component of natural parasite elimination is garlic, but it must be prepared correctly to maximize its anti-parasitic compounds. Fresh garlic contains allicin, a powerful natural antibiotic and anti-parasitic compound. But allicin is only created when garlic is crushed and allowed to sit for specific time periods. Garlic preparation for maximum anti-parasitic effect requires crushing fresh garlic cloves and allowing them to sit for exactly 15 minutes before use. This time period allows enzymatic reactions to convert allicin into allicin, the active anti-parasitic compound. Crushing must be thorough. Use a garlic press or knife to completely break down the cell walls. The dosage for garlic treatment is 1 crushed clove per 4 cups of grain, mixed thoroughly and fed immediately after the 15-minute activation period. The garlic mixture should be consumed within 2 hours of preparation to maintain allicin potency. Feed garlic-treated grain twice weekly during active parasite treatment. The third component is pumpkin seeds, which contain cucurbitacin, a natural compound that paralyzes intestinal worms and makes them release their grip on intestinal walls. This allows the worms to be expelled naturally through normal digestive processes. Pumpkin seed preparation requires using raw, unroasted seeds that still contain maximum cucurbitacin concentrations. Grind fresh pumpkin seeds into a coarse powder using a food processor or coffee grinder. The powder should be prepared fresh each week to maintain potency. Pumpkin seed dosage is 1 tablespoon of ground seeds per 2 cups of grain, mixed thoroughly and fed daily for 7 consecutive days, then once weekly for maintenance. The seeds work most effectively when fed on an empty stomach, so provide pumpkin seed mixture first thing in the morning before other feed. The fourth component is oregano oil, which we discussed in our breathing emergency video, but for parasite elimination it's used differently. Oregano oil contains carbachyrol and thymol, compounds that are toxic to parasites but safe for pigeons when used at appropriate concentrations. Oregano oil for parasite treatment requires therapeutic-grade oil with minimum 70% carbachyrol content. Lower concentrations won't be effective against parasites, while higher concentrations can cause digestive irritation. Purchase only oregano oil specifically labeled for internal use. The preparation method for oregano oil parasite treatment involves mixing 3 drops of oregano oil in 1 tablespoon of olive oil, then mixing this oil blend into 2 cups of grain. The olive oil serves as a carrier that helps distribute the oregano oil evenly and reduces the intensity of the flavor. Feed oregano oil mixture twice weekly during active parasite treatment, with at least 3 days between treatments to prevent digestive upset. Monitor birds carefully for any signs of reduced appetite or digestive problems and reduce frequency if any issues occur. The fifth component is apple cider vinegar, which creates an acidic environment in the digestive tract that parasites cannot tolerate. The acidic acid in vinegar also helps break down parasite eggshells and makes them less viable. Apple cider vinegar must be raw, unfiltered, and contain the mother, the stringy, cloudy material that contains beneficial bacteria and enzymes. Processed, clear vinegar doesn't have the same antiparasitic properties and won't be effective for treatment. The dosage for apple cider vinegar treatment is 1 tablespoon per gallon of drinking water, provided twice weekly during active parasite treatment. The water should have a very mild vinegar taste. If it's strong enough to make birds reluctant to drink, dilute it further. Environmental treatment is equally important as internal treatment, because many parasites spend part of their life cycle in the environment where they can reinfect treated birds. Comprehensive environmental parasite elimination prevents reinfection and eliminates parasite eggs and larvae that could restart the infection cycle. Deep cleaning protocols must address all areas where parasites might survive. Remove all bedding, food residue, and organic matter where parasite eggs can survive. Scrub all surfaces with hot water and detergent, paying special attention to cracks and crevices where parasites often hide. Natural environmental treatments include diatomaceous earth applied to floors and nesting areas, where it continues killing parasites for weeks. Sprinkle food-grade diatomaceous earth in all areas where birds spend time, but avoid creating dust clouds that birds might inhale. Moisture control eliminates the humid conditions that many parasites need for egg development and survival. Ensure excellent ventilation, fix any water leaks, and maintain humidity levels below 60% to create conditions hostile to parasite development. Heat treatment can eliminate many parasites and their eggs from bedding and equipment. Wash fabric items in hot water above a 145 tough, or place items in direct sunlight for several hours, as many parasite eggs cannot survive high temperatures. Chemical-free disinfection uses natural compounds that kill parasites without creating toxic residues. White vinegar solutions, hydrogen peroxide, and essential oil blends can eliminate parasites while being safe for birds when used correctly. Monitoring treatment progress requires systematic tracking of parasite elimination indicators and bird health improvements. Effective monitoring helps you determine when treatment is working and when adjustments might be needed. Dropping analysis during treatment shows parasite elimination progress. As treatment progresses, you should see fewer parasite eggs in microscopic examination, gradual improvement in dropping consistency and color, and eventual elimination of visible worms or parasite segment. Weight gain monitoring tracks nutritional recovery as parasites are eliminated, and birds can absorb more nutrition from their food. Weigh birds weekly during treatment and expect gradual weight increases as parasite loads decrease. Behavior improvement indicators include increased activity levels as birds regain energy previously consumed by parasites, improved appetite and feeding enthusiasm, better feather quality as nutritional status improves, and enhanced overall alertness and responsiveness. Energy level assessment shows dramatic improvements as parasites are eliminated. Birds often show increased flying activity, more vocal behavior, improved social interactions, and greater interest in environmental stimulation. Feather quality improvements become visible 2 to 4 weeks after successful parasite elimination. New feathers grow in with better color, strength, and shine, while existing feathers may become less brittle and more flexible. Treatment duration varies depending on the types and severity of parasite infections, but most natural parasite elimination protocols require 4 to 6 weeks for complete effectiveness. Some parasites have complex life cycles that require extended treatment to eliminate all stages. Maintenance protocols prevent reinfection after successful parasite elimination. Continue diatomaceous earth feeding once weekly. Provide garlic treatment monthly. Maintain environmental cleanliness, and monitor birds closely for early signs of parasite problem. Prevention strategies focus on creating conditions that prevent parasite establishment and maintaining bird health that resists parasite infections. Effective prevention is always easier and more cost-effective than treatment. Water system management prevents waterborne parasite transmission. Change water daily. Clean water containers weekly with hot water and vinegar. Position water sources to prevent contamination with droppings. And consider adding apple cider vinegar weekly for preventive benefits. Feed hygiene eliminates parasites that can contaminate stored grain and seed. Store feed in sealed containers to prevent rodent contamination. Inspect feed regularly for signs of insects or mold. Rotate feed stocks to maintain freshness, and avoid feeding moldy or contaminated grain. Population density management reduces parasite transmission between birds. Provide adequate space to reduce stress and competition. Avoid overcrowding that increases parasite transmission. Maintain separate feeding and watering areas when possible, and quarantine new birds before introducing them to established flocks. Stress reduction supports immune system function that helps birds resist parasite infections. Maintain consistent routines. Provide environmental enrichment, minimize handling and disturbance, and ensure adequate nutrition to support immune function. Regular health monitoring allows early detection of parasite problems when they're easier to treat. Conduct weekly health examinations. Track individual bird weights and condition. Monitor dropping quality and consistency, and watch for subtle behavioral changes that might indicate developing problems. Quarantine protocols prevent introduction of parasites from new birds or contaminated equipment. Isolate new birds for minimum 30 days. Conduct thorough parasite screening before introduction. Treat any discovered parasites before allowing contact with healthy birds, and maintain separate equipment for quarantine areas. Success rates for natural parasite elimination are excellent when protocols are followed consistently and completely. Most pigeon owners see significant improvement within 2 to 3 weeks, and complete parasite elimination within 4 to 6 weeks when using comprehensive natural protocols. The advantages of natural parasite treatment include safety for birds and handlers, no development of parasite resistance, support for overall bird health, elimination of chemical residues in birds, and cost-effectiveness compared to repeated conventional treatments. Long-term benefits of natural parasite elimination include improved overall bird health, better reproductive success, enhanced performance in racing or showing, reduced susceptibility to other diseases, and improved longevity and quality of life. In conclusion, the reality of parasites living inside your pigeons is disgusting but manageable when you understand what you're dealing with and how to eliminate these invaders naturally. The comprehensive natural elimination protocol using diatomaceous earth, garlic, pumpkin seeds, oregano oil, and apple cider vinegar can eliminate even heavy parasite loads while supporting your bird's overall health. Remember that parasite problems are often completely invisible until they cause serious health problems, so prevention and regular monitoring are crucial for maintaining healthy birds. The natural detection methods we've discussed can help you catch parasite problems early when they're easier to treat. Environmental management is just as important as treating the birds themselves, because many parasites spend part of their life cycle in the environment where they can reinfect treated birds. Comprehensive environmental treatment eliminates the sources of reinfection that cause treatment failures. The natural approach to parasite elimination is not only effective, but also safer for your birds than many conventional treatments. Natural compounds work through multiple mechanisms that make it difficult for parasites to develop resistance, while supporting your bird's immune systems and overall health. If this comprehensive guide to detecting and eliminating the disgusting parasites living inside your pigeons has been helpful, please hit that like button and share this video with other pigeon owners. This information could save their birds from the slow, painful death that these parasites can cause when left untreated. Share your experiences in the comments below. Have you discovered parasites in your birds? What symptoms did you notice? What treatments work for you? Your experiences help other pigeon keepers recognize and treat these problems in their own birds. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell because we have more shocking pigeon health content coming that exposes the hidden threats your birds face every day. In our next emergency video, we'll cover the eye problem that's blinding 80% of pigeons, another hidden health crisis that most owners don't recognize until permanent damage is done. I love reading your parasite stories and treatment experience. Your shared knowledge helps build our community of pigeon owners who understand that the most serious health threats are often completely invisible until it's almost too late. Until next time, remember that the disgusting reality of parasites is that they're probably in your birds right now, but with the right knowledge and natural treatment protocols, you can eliminate these invaders and restore your pigeons to optimal health. Stay vigilant, treat comprehensively, and trust in the power of natural parasite elimination when applied systematically and consistently. Keep your pigeons parasite-free, naturally.